taking this drive through the backcountry and wanted to share with you guys some tips that I've learned about investing in land. So I've bought over 35 pieces of land in 5 states. It's actually what got me hooked into real estate. Now I own 30 apartments, a laundromat, 20 online businesses. But one of the first, I've always been interested in real estate, so, and I've learned a lot. I went to business school, went to law school, and obviously in law school I learned a lot about land law or real estate law as it pertains. But some of the things that I look out for, and one I actually learned from a developer, and he was like, buy parcels of land with a lot of road frontage because they're easier to split up. And what happens is, if you have a piece of land, right, let's call it 50 acres, okay, but there's only 20 feet of road frontage, you can still split up that piece of land, but you're gonna have to give all the new parcel owners access. So for example, if you gotta drive in 20 feet, and then then you can give this person access to the right and to the left. You have to actually make that road or that passageway, so they actually have to have access. So a lot of towns won't let you divide up the land until the next owner, or the 2, 3 owners, or 4 owners, because you can divide 50 acres into 10 lots, 20 lots, even more, depending on zoning, which is another thing you have to look out for. So road frontage, usually the more road frontage you have, the easier it is to divvy up parcels, because you don't need to give them access. The road already gives them access. You just cut it down the middle and the road will give them access to that plot of land. So a lot of road frontage helps with land deals. The zoning, check out the zoning, right? I bought a 9-acre piece of land in upstate New York, where in the town you needed 5 acres to build a house. So now this left me 1 acre short of being able to split that parcel, right? So I couldn't split that parcel. Great investment. I bought it for $8,000, sold it for over 30. So it was a great investment. But always check to see, what are the requirements for the separation of parcels. And then how is it zoned? So a lot of people think that, if it's zoned one way or another, it's a positive, it's a negative. But the truth is, you can change zoning. Zoning laws generally are that of which are determined by the neighbors. So as long as you're not creating a nuisance for the neighbor, generally there's no reason why a zone can't be changed from residential to commercial, unless there's a master plan. Now in cities and villages, it's a lot harder to change zoning, but I'm talking specifically for raw land investments in the middle of nowhere, acreage, desert, acreage, ranches. So those are a few things I've learned. You want to be able to, the zoning thing is, like I said, all you have to do is go down there usually to City Hall. They'll tell you how to apply for change zoning, and what happens is they usually make you put out a notice, either a sign on the land or mail letters to all the neighbors of the land, and tell them what you're proposing to change the zoning to. And if there's no objections, then the town and the village or the county usually have no objection to you changing zoning of the land. So that's how that works. Really, one of your best friends with land transactions is going to be your city hall, the land assessor, the land tax department, land transfers. The recorder's office is usually where everything gets recorded, whether it's a land contract or a deed. It's usually going to go through the recorder's office where it has to get recorded. But the people there are usually very helpful, especially in smaller towns. So those are a couple things I learned. What else did I learn? Infrastructure building. Oddly enough, one of my first pieces of land I wanted to develop, and I'm still tinkering with that. But some of the things you have to think about are there utilities on the road? How close to the road? You're responsible after a certain amount of footage from the road to pull the electric up and to pull, if there's plumbing. But usually in rural places you have, a septic tank, and you're drilling for a well. Even in those scenarios, you want to see how far is the electric from you, because you're going to have to run it. Now, what I've seen interesting, I had a investor colleague of mine who bought this big raw piece of land, and the electric it wasn't close. It wasn't close. But he sold the furthest piece of land from the electric, and that guy decided to put in electric. So what happened? That guy paid for the electric to get run to them. Now once the electric's run, if it runs by your property, you're gonna have use of it too. It's not like you have to pay extra to, you know, put up more poles, right? Electric poles. You're gonna have usage of that. So this guy was really smart. He sold the back of the lot, and then they developed the electric line, and then his lots that were closer. Well, now all the lots really had electric on it, right? And they all went up in value. Another thing that I look out for with land investing that I've been a lot more conscious of is riparian rights, right? Land that abuts water. So, you know, certain rivers, streams, lakes, and then are parcels with streams big enough that you can create a lake, right? Because if you dam up the lake, you can create. Now there are some regulations around that, but as long as you keep the flow going, the water flow going, there's really no issues. You can generally take from it what you need, or, you know, create a lake or a pond in those things. But that almost instantly increases the property value. You know, the riparian rights, land on the water. Now obviously there's insurance issues if you're on the beach, or, you know, in certain kinds of riparian rights are on the ocean. But generally increases the value of raw land. So I'm constantly now looking for deals where, you know, there's a mixture of all these elements. And you know, if you guys caught my last video, I talked a little bit about timber rights and how I learned about that, right? I didn't even know trees were worth money, but I definitely look for species of trees, you know, different kinds of rocks. What kind of rocks are there? What kind of minerals are there? How's the soil there? All with the idea of assessing the total value of a raw piece of land that other people may think, hey, it's in the middle of nowhere. Another thing I'm realizing is location, right? If you can get it closer to the road, you may want to pay a little bit more. Before I'll buy it anywhere, and I still think that's a good bet, by the way. If you're just starting off, buy it, you know? I mean, you got pieces of land out here that you can buy for $500, $1,000. Like, to dip your toe into such a big game, right? There's thousands and thousands of millionaires that are created off of real estate, so you want to get to know it. But getting it a little bit closer, because a lot of those big parcels of land, you know, they have commercial purposes that can be used, even the mining purposes. I've seen a construction company up here in upstate New York where, you know, they got 10, 20 acre parcels, 30 acre parcels all along this highway from Albany to Buffalo. And the mineral rights it's crazy. So they're getting gravel, they're getting soil, they're getting all these things that they need to build roads. Then they're bidding on government contracts for the roads, right? And of course they're going to beat people because they're getting their materials for almost nothing, and they're right there on track. So, you know, being strategic about those kind of deals. And then the other thing I learned about land that was very interesting in my last couple years was you can get 10 times market value for your land if you sell it to a micro-cap public company. Now, you have to be a little more astute to that kind of information. You probably want a financial professional to give you advice there, and a lawyer to give you advice there. But you could get public company stock for some of those pieces of land. I had all my land on Land Watch a few years back, and I had it up for like 10 times as much as my nearest competitor. And somebody came in one day and told me, I'll buy it all at the prices you have, no negotiation. I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? And the guy basically wanted to pay me all in stock, in public company stock. Now, public company stock, micro-cap stocks, which are the ones more than likely to offer deals like that, because it increases the assets on their balance sheet. And, you know, it's just a good way to build a business, to buy, you know, real assets with stock. But it fluctuates, right? Super risky. It can go up and down. The guy that was proposing a deal to me had a 6-month lockup period, which means I couldn't sell the stock for 6 months. And but it was interesting, because if it was the right team and the right company, I definitely would have done it, and I would have, you know, got a 10x valuation. But that's something I still play with. And you can build a portfolio big enough to sell it to one of those companies with strong. If you get a good lawyer, you'll get your value out of it. You know, you'll get the stock. And and they'll attach warrants or options or some kind of agreement to make sure that you get your actual value out of it. But it may be an interesting exit way for some of you guys building raw land portfolios. But tell me what you guys have learned. I've taught you guys something today. Tell me in the comments section. Hopefully I taught you guys something today. Tell me in the comments section, what have you guys been learning about investing in raw land? I know I got a video on here that there's a lot of that gets a lot of views for 12 ways to make money with land. But tell me what you guys have been learning. I kind of just wanted to give you this dump of information because I'm a practitioner. I'm not just a guy that's telling you guys what to do, right? I'm out buying land. I'm out buying real estate, homes, multifamilies, anything that makes sense, or dollars even better, right? Hey, subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend if you think I'm helpful, and check out my website, nicholascoriano.com, and never give up. I hope you guys are rocking. Happy real estate investing.